Richard Blackstone's furious voice thundered through the penthouse. "Where's my Rolex watch?" His eyes, sharp and accusing, locked onto Monica, who stood quietly organizing cleaning supplies. The tension crackled in the air like a storm ready to break. But Monica didn't flinch. Instead, she calmly said, "Call the police. The cameras will show where your watch really went." In that moment, the millionaire's power wavered, and the true story was just beginning. Monica Santos was no stranger to hard work. At 32, she had spent the last 5 years cleaning luxury apartments across Atlanta's most affluent neighborhoods. An immigrant with quiet strength and an unshakable dignity, she prided herself on doing her job well and with respect, even when she wasn't always treated with the same courtesy. Monica knew the unspoken rules. Keep your head down. Smile when spoken to. Don't ask questions. But some days, the microaggressions piled up, the subtle glances, the whispered judgments, the assumptions made about her because of the color of her skin and the modest clothes she wore. Yet nothing prepared her for Richard Blackstone. Richard was the kind of man who believed wealth bought him immunity. The owner of several businesses and known for his flashy lifestyle, Richard had an ego as big as his penthouse. That day, when he stormed into the apartment furious about a missing Rolex watch, Monica found herself the target of his anger. "You took it," he accused, his voice sharp and unyielding. Monica was alone, just doing her job, and suddenly she was a villain in a story she didn't even know she was part of. She tried to explain, but Richard wasn't listening. His eyes, full of suspicion and scorn, made her feel invisible, not as a person, but as a threat. It wasn't just about the watch. It was the unspoken assumption that she, a black woman in a cleaning uniform, must be guilty before proven innocent. The humiliation was suffocating. Monica felt the weight of the accusations settle heavily on her shoulders as Richard's fury echoed to the penthouse halls. No one else was there to defend her. The staff had been sent away earlier, and the silence was deafening. But then something else happened. A small sound from the nursery caught her attention, the wailing cry of a baby. It was Richard's son, and he was inconsolable. Monica's heart softened. Despite the tension, she moved toward the nursery, gently pushing open the door. The baby's cries seemed endless, filling the luxurious room with raw, desperate sound. Without hesitation, Monica picked up the child. Her touch was calm, practiced, and immediate. Slowly, the cry began to subside. The baby's fists unclenched, his breathing evened out, and within moments he was quiet, soothed not by toys or tech, but by the warmth of Monica's presence. Richard watched, stunned. For the first time since he'd arrived, his anger faltered. The man who had been so quick to blame now found himself disarmed by the gentleness of the woman he'd accused. But the moment was fleeting. Richard quickly pulled himself together, his pride bruised. "Don't get too comfortable," he snapped. "We'll see what the cameras say." Monica met his gaze steadily. She knew the security footage would tell the truth, and in that quiet confidence lay her real power. She wasn't just a cleaner. Beneath her humble exterior was a mind sharp enough to understand the game she was in, and strong enough to fight back without raising her voice. As Richard paced the penthouse, fuming and frustrated, Monica stayed calm. Alone, humiliated yet unbroken, she was ready to reclaim her dignity, one quiet step at a time. Monica felt the weight of Richard's accusations, but she refused to let them define her. As Richard stormed to the penthouse, demanding answers and searching for his missing Rolex, Monica's focus shifted to crying baby in the nursery. The child's distress was raw and urgent, but Monica's calm presence seemed to offer an unexpected refuge. Despite Richard's orders to stay away from the nursery, Monica couldn't ignore the child's cries. She gently lifted the baby into her arms, rocking him softly. The baby's frantic wails slowly transformed into quiet whimpers, then to peaceful breathing. It was a small miracle in the middle of chaos, one that left Richard momentarily speechless. His anger, so fierce just moments before, gave way to a stunned silence. He stared at Monica, the accusations momentarily forgotten, replaced by something closer to awe. The power dynamic between them shifted in a subtle but undeniable way. "Where did you learn to do that?" Richard asked, his voice lower, less hostile. Monica didn't answer with words. Instead, She simply held the baby with steady care, her eyes calm and unwavering. Still uneasy, Richard snapped back to himself. "Fine," he said, "but the cameras will show where your story ends." His tone was cold, but the crack in his confidence was visible. Monica's gaze hardened just a little, hinting at a deeper knowledge. She was not just the accused woman waiting silently to be judged. She was a former private investigator, someone trained to see beyond surface lies and uncover truth. The skills she had quietly honed in her past life were now her quiet weapon. Without hesitation, Monica picked up her phone and dialed a number she hadn't called in years. "Detective Martinez," she said softly. "It's Monica. I need your help." This was no ordinary cleaning job anymore. It had become a test of her integrity, intelligence, and resilience. As Richard waited impatiently, pacing the lavish rooms of his penthouse, Monica quietly coordinated with her old mentor. Detective Martinez was known for her fairness and dedication to justice, exactly what Monica needed. Meanwhile, Monica reviewed the facts in her mind. The baby's cries had stopped only when she was holding him. The missing Rolex had vanished in a penthouse filled with guests and staff. If there was footage, it would prove her innocence. But Monica also suspected there was more beneath the surface. Past complaint about Richard, rumors she'd overheard in the neighborhood, maybe even secrets waiting to be uncovered. Hours later, Detective Martinez arrived, dressed plainly but carrying the weight of authority. She reviewed the security footage, which told a clear story. Monica had never left the apartment during the time the watch went missing. More strikingly, the footage caught Richard himself dropping the watch near the nursery, a moment he had tried to hide. Richard's face drained of color when Martinez confronted him with the evidence. But Monica was calm. She didn't need to gloat or shout. The truth was unfolding on its own, silently but powerfully. With the evidence in hand, Monica was no longer just a cleaning woman accused unjustly. She was an investigator revealing hidden truths. Her quiet confidence unsettled Richard, whose carefully constructed world began to crumble under the weight of his own dishonesty. But Monica didn't stop there. Digging deeper with Martinez's help, she uncovered more. Lawsuits against Richard for unethical business practices, IRS investigations into his finances, and whispers of personal betrayals that painted a man far from the polished image he projected. Monica's role had shifted completely. From silent victim to empowered seeker of truth, she was navigating the complex world of justice with grace and determination. The baby, once the source of tension and chaos, had become a symbol of hope and change. Monica's gentle care in the nursery was a stark contrast to the turmoil in the penthouse. In that quiet room, the seed of transformation was planted, a transformation that would reach far beyond the missing watch. As Richard sat defeated, Monica prepared for the next steps. Steps that would clear her name, expose the truth, and challenge the assumptions that had nearly destroyed her. This was her story now, one of resilience, intelligence, and quiet strength. With the security footage in hand and Detective Martinez at her side, Monica felt a small but vital shift in the battle. The evidence was clear. She hadn't stolen the Rolex, and the watch had never left the penthouse. In fact, Richard himself had dropped it. Yet, the fight was far from over. Richard Blackstone's initial shock quickly turned to fury. The wealthy millionaire wasn't used to being challenged, especially by someone he saw as beneath him. He lashed out publicly, trying to smear Monica's name. Rumors began swirling among his social circles and the staff. Whispers that Monica was lying, that she was trying to ruin a man who was just under a lot of stress. But Monica remained calm, refusing to respond to the mudslinging. Instead, she focused on what mattered, truth and dignity. Behind the scenes, she reached out to her sister, Clara, who had been her steadfast support through all her challenges. Clara was a lawyer, and when she learned what Monica was facing, she immediately offered her expertise. Together, they crafted a plan not just to clear Monica's name, but to hold Richard accountable. Monica also reconnected with her past life, the one most people never saw. Once a private investigator with a criminology degree, Monica knew how to follow the trail that money and privilege tried to bury. She contacted former colleagues, reviewed documents, and began piecing together Richard's tangled web of secrets. Detective Martinez became more than an ally. She was Monica's partner in uncovering the truth. Martinez's reputation for integrity and thoroughness gave Monica the confidence she needed to push forward. Even as the pressure mounted, slowly, the tide began to turn. Small wins started to pile up. Monica received confirmation that Richard's claims had no legal ground. The company that managed the penthouse complex acknowledged Monica's impeccable record and integrity. Friends of Richard, who had doubted Monica at first, began to reconsider after seeing the facts. More importantly, Monica herself began to change. The woman who had arrived quietly to clean a luxury apartment was becoming a leader in her own right. She found her voice again, not through anger or shouting, but through measured, clear statements of fact. Where she once might have been invisible, now she was seen and heard. At the same time, the baby's presence remained a powerful symbol in her story. The child who had been soothed by Monica's gentle touch became a reminder that kindness and humanity transcend wealth and status. Even Richard had to acknowledge this unspoken truth, though his pride kept him from admitting it aloud. In her conversations with Detective Martinez and Clara, Monica admitted her fears, but refused to be defeated by them. "I'm not just fighting for myself," she said quietly one evening. "This is for every person who's been judged before they're heard." Her resilience inspired those around her. The staff at Brooks Mart, who'd once only seen Monica as a quiet cleaner, her family who rallied behind her, and even some of the penthouse employees who witnessed the unfolding drama. The slow rebuilding of trust was not easy. Monica encountered skepticism and bias at every turn, but she met it with transparency and strength. She shared her story openly, explaining not just what happened, but how she was rising above it. As days turned to weeks, the hostile energy in the penthouse began to dissipate. Richard's influence waned as investigations into his business and personal conduct intensified. Monica's integrity shone through the darkness, lighting a path toward justice. The progress was quiet but undeniable, a testament to the power of perseverance, truth, and kindness. By the time the next phase of the investigation concluded, Monica had become more than a woman fighting false accusations. She was a symbol of courage, an example of how even the most marginalized can reclaim their dignity and lead change. And through it all, the baby, once a crying child in a tense moment, had become a symbol of hope and healing, forever linked to Monica's journey from accusation to empowerment. The day the full security footage was finally revealed felt like a turning point. Not just for Monica, but for everyone watching this story unfold. In a tense meeting arranged by Detective Martinez, Monica, Clara, and Richard Blackstone faced the undeniable truth on a large screen. The video began innocently enough. Richard pacing nervously through his penthouse, the baby fussing softly in the nursery. Then came the moment everyone had been waiting for. There, clear as day, the camera showed Richard reaching for his watch on the coffee table. His hand faltered, and the Rolex slipped, falling to the floor. He bent to pick it up, but as he straightened, he accidentally knocked it under a cabinet. Monica never left the cleaning closet, where she had been organizing supplies. She never touched the watch. The room fell silent. Richard's face flushed a deep red, his carefully crafted composure unraveling in front of everyone. His arrogance was exposed, not just as false accusation, but the deeper wounds of privilege and entitlement. But the revelations didn't stop there. Monica's sister Clara, working closely with Detective Martinez, had uncovered more layers beneath the surface. Alongside the footage, they revealed a trail of legal and financial troubles dogging Richard Blackstone. IRS investigations, multiple lawsuits for breach of contract, and even rumors of infidelity in his personal life, all slowly emerged from the shadows. His empire, built on wealth and power, showed cracks wide enough for light to pour through. What struck Monica most wasn't just the damage Richard had caused himself, but the way he had tried to hurt her to protect his fragile image. She had been the scapegoat, a convenient target to divert attention from his failings. Yet here she stood, clear-eyed and resolute, refusing to be broken by his attempts to destroy her reputation. Monica didn't shout or accuse. Instead, she spoke quietly but firmly. "You looked at me and saw a threat. Because of my skin, my job, my quiet presence," she said, her voice steady. "You forgot I am more than your assumptions. I am a person with a history, with strength, with dignity. Her words hung in the room, heavier than any accusation Richard had thrown at her. For the first time, the millionaire saw beyond his own anger. He saw the human being he had tried to crush. Detective Martinez stepped forward. "This isn't just about a missing watch," she said. "It's about accountability. About recognizing when power is misused. Monica has proven her innocence. Now it's time for justice." The moment was electric, a shift from confrontation to reckoning. Richard's defenses crumbled further when the legal notices arrived shortly after. Publicly, he had to face the consequences of his actions, not just the false accusations against Monica, but his own mismanagement and misconduct. Monica's story became more than a personal victory. It was a spotlight on systemic injustice, the way assumptions and stereotypes can destroy lives if unchecked. But she refused to let anger define her. Instead, Monica used this breakthrough to inspire change. She agreed to meet with local advocacy groups, share her experience, and encouraging others to speak out. Her calm courage became a beacon, proof that truth and dignity can rise above prejudice and power. Richard, meanwhile, was left to reckon with the fallout. His reputation in tatters, his personal and financial life exposed, he was forced to confront the very flaws he had tried to hide. In that pivotal moment, the child who had once cried uncontrollably now symbolized something far greater, the potential for healing and transformation. For Monica, the climax wasn't just about clearing her name. It was about reclaiming her story, standing tall amid adversity, and showing that integrity and resilience can change even the most entrenched narratives. As she walked away from the meeting, Monica glanced at the baby's photo on her phone, a silent reminder that kindness and truth had brought her here. And this was only the beginning. The aftermath of the revelations was nothing short of transformative, not just for Monica, but for everyone involved. Richard Blackstone faced a cascade of consequences that would alter his life forever. Public exposure of his legal troubles and personal scandals forced him into damage control mode, but the damage was already done. His reputation, once pristine and untouchable, now lay in ruins. The trust his business partners had placed in him wavered, and the media scrutiny was relentless. Investors began to pull back, and internal pressures mounted for him to step down from his executive role. More importantly, Richard was confronted with the human cost of his actions, the false accusation that had nearly destroyed Monica's livelihood and dignity. Meanwhile, Monica quietly began to rebuild her life. Far from the chaos of Richard's unraveling world, she found solace in her community and support from those who believed in her truth. She accepted a job offer from a local university, where she was invited to share her story and advocate for justice and equality in workplaces and beyond. The role was a perfect fit, combining her experience, education, and newfound voice to inspire systemic change. In her new position, Monica worked tirelessly to develop programs that addressed racial bias, workplace harassment, and employee rights. She partnered with advocacy groups and local government officials to ensure that no one else would suffer the humiliation and injustice she had endured. But perhaps the most profound change was within Monica herself. The ordeal had forged a new strength, a confidence tempered by grace and resolve. Her experience became a powerful narrative of resilience, showing how truth and dignity could withstand even the harshest storms. At the same time, the baby, the innocent center of the conflict, came to symbolize a fresh start. His first moments of calm, brought by Monica's gentle care, echoed far beyond the penthouse walls. His father's hardened heart began to soften in unexpected ways. Friends and family noticed subtle shifts in Richard's behavior, moments where he paused before speaking, a rare humility creeping into his posture. He began attending counseling sessions and agreed to participate in community programs aimed at addressing privilege and accountability. While some doubted his sincerity, others saw the beginnings of genuine change. It was a small, fragile hope, but hope nonetheless. For Monica, the journey was far from over, but she embraced it with open eyes. She understood that healing, both personal and societal, required patience and persistent effort. Her story sparked conversations in workplaces across the city, from corporate boardrooms to cleaning crews, about respect, equity, and the power dynamics too often ignored. More than that, Monica became a role model for countless women and immigrants who saw in her struggle a reflection of their own challenges and dreams. She spoke not with bitterness, but with a clear, unwavering voice. We will not be defined by false accusations or prejudice. We will rise by standing in our truth, supporting one another and demanding justice. In quiet moments, Monica still thought back to that day in the penthouse, the tension, the accusation, the baby's cry, and the unexpected calm she brought. It was a reminder that even in the darkest moments, compassion and courage could change everything. Her journey was proof that strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the quiet steadiness of a woman who refuses to be broken. As she looked ahead, Monica knew the path forward would be challenging, but she was ready, because she had learned the most important lesson of all, that integrity and kindness are forces more powerful than any accusation or injustice. And with that, Monica stepped confidently into a future she was determined to shape, not just for herself, but for all who would come after her. Monica didn't raise her voice that day. She raised a truth. In a world quick to judge, she stood as a quiet pillar of strength and integrity. The woman everyone underestimated became the one everyone needed. Her story is a powerful reminder that justice often begins with calm courage, and real change happens when we refuse to be silenced. Monica's journey, from a falsely accused cleaner to a respected advocate, shows us that dignity and resilience can rewrite even the darkest chapters. The Millionaire's Penthouse was never just about wealth or power. It became a stage where truth triumphed over prejudice. And the baby? He found safety not in riches, but in the kindness of a stranger who became a protector. If this story moved you, share it, not for outrage, but so that someone else feels seen, heard, and empowered to stand tall in their own truth. Because sometimes the strongest voices are the ones that speak softly but carry a message that echoes forever.